Hey everyone, welcome to King Bear Creations. I'm here with another video. A couple months ago I bought a 3D printer, and so I wanted to make this video to share the things that I've been printing and been doing since I got my 3D printer. So let's get into this video. So to start off, I figured I'd come to my Instagram page because I've already posted some pictures here that I can show kind of the process of me getting the printer and unboxing and setting it up. So if you'd like to follow my Instagram, it's King Bear Creations. Feel free to follow me, and I'll be posting there about all my different 3D prints and different things going on. But this is the printer. As soon as it showed up, I took a picture. This is the box it came in. This is an Ender 3 V2. So then once I started opening it, I think this might have actually been me as I was cutting the tape. It's kind of unfortunate it cut the foam, but luckily there's foam there. It didn't hurt the printer at all, so we're all good. Then opening it up, you got the instructions, the setup guide and everything, along with all the different printer parts. This is the second layer, so underneath that top part was another piece of foam, and then this was down underneath that. This is everything once I got it all out of the box. Took a picture before I started assembling. And then this is afterwards, after the assembly process. So assembly went pretty smoothly. The instructions are pretty easy to follow along with. I did have one hiccup with the assembly, and that was the Z-axis rod was not able to be aligned properly, and so there was some binding as soon as I got it all assembled and put together. I guess this is kind of a common problem with these printers. A quick Google search and I was able to figure out what was wrong and able to find some resources to figure out how to fix it. I did end up just going to Home Depot and buying a couple washers and some longer screws, and then I was able to mount the Z-axis rod a little bit out, and then it didn't bind. And then one of my first prints, I drew up a spacer to go in between the Z-axis motor, so that way I didn't have to use those washers anymore, and I'll show that off here shortly. So here's the printer as it is right now. It's been working great, haven't had to really do much to it. There are a few upgrades that I did. Underneath, I replaced the springs for the bed leveling. That was one that I saw recommended in other YouTube videos, so I ended up doing that, and it's been great. I used to have to level the bed after like every print with the ones that came with the printer, and now I maybe level it every week or 2 weeks. So really it's not very often, and when I do level it every week, it's a quick fine-tuning. I don't have to do much. The other thing that I did is I printed this spool holder over here on the side. The one that came with the printer was up top, and it just whenever I would finish printing, and even one time during a print, the PLA as it was wrapping around would actually break. It would snap as it was going, and then it would mess up the print, and it was just kind of annoying. I was wasting a lot of plastic with it breaking in between prints. So now with this one over to the side, it's much less in the way, and this doesn't break in between prints, the strand as it's going in. So I can leave it a little bit longer. I do end up putting it in some bags to keep it dry, keep it safe from humidity if I'm not going to be using my printer for a while. But at least now it's not snapping in the middle of prints and causing those failures. So then this is what I was talking about down in here. This little white piece here, this is that spacer that I printed. It's really just a square with a couple holes for those screws to go through. And that's what is holding this Z-axis rod out away. There's kind of a gap here. See if you can see. And that gap is kind of really what's causing the issue here, is that this is farther out than if you screw the Z-axis motor all the way in. It makes your rod go crooked, and it just binds when you go up and down. It's not able to move. So just that little bit of spacer works. And then initially, like I had said in the video, I had some washers that I used, and I just bought these little washers in here from Home Depot, really cheap. It was like $1, maybe $2, and I was able to get my printer right up fixed and going. So yeah, that's what I had for that spacer and the few little upgrades I did. Oh, there's this one up here too. This just helps me be able to move the printer's Z-axis by spinning instead of having to lift it up. It's just kind of a preference thing. But yeah, there we go. Once I got the printer assembled, I was pretty excited. I had drawn a pool drain cover for my dad a while back, and we had always talked about getting it 3D printed because we couldn't find this particular style anywhere anymore. So I took his old one and measured it all up and drew it out in SolidWorks and was able to print it as soon as I got my printer, and it came out great. Kind of look at the print process here as it all went down. Other quick note for the pool drain cover, if you did want to see how I drew that up, I do have the video posted on this YouTube channel. However, it was my very first video. There's no sound and it's like an hour long, so I don't recommend watching the whole thing. But if you want to kind of see that process, give it a click, go through it, just scroll through quickly and check that out. Or watch the whole hour if you want. That's awesome too. But I don't blame you for not watching that whole video, not at all. And this was the final print. And then we also took it over and installed it in the pool. It's been in his pool for about 2 months now, and they're still working great. I had read there might be some issues with the PLA plastic and the chlorine in the pool, and so I had kind of read a lot about it and kind of got mixed opinions of people that said it's fine, other people that said it would dissolve, it wouldn't last. And then the other concern was leaving it out in the sun. And so far it's been pretty good. We figured we'd just give it a try and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work, then we'll use some other type of drain cover, or maybe try a different plastic type. But so far they've worked great, no issues. So we'll see how long they last. After I'd printed that pool drain cover, naturally everybody prints 3D Benchy to see how their printer works. So that was one of my first prints as well. I was actually pretty happy with how it came out right off the bat. No real fine tuning or tweaking on my printer. This is just set up and then printed fresh. Another thing that I printed, so shortly after I bought my 3D printer, my SolidWorks license expired. It was just a student version, so I knew it was going to expire within the 2 years. So kind of bad timing, I guess. It expired right after I brought my printer, but it all worked out. I ended up downloading Blender, and so I've been learning how to use Blender. And so this was just kind of a quick thing that I drew up in Blender to practice and learn. This is a sliding door guide. This is for our closet, and so this was broken when we bought our home, and so I took this as a good opportunity to just practice drawing one of these up and printing it out and see how it worked. It's probably more work than just going to the store and buying them. They're pretty cheap if you just run to Home Depot and buy them, but I appreciated the opportunity to practice, so it was nice, very enjoyable. Here's a picture of it printing out. I did have to try this a few times to get the scale right. Now I kind of know a little bit better how to draw things in Blender to get them to come out to scale. So that was one thing that I learned from this whole process. Then we have these prints. These all came off Thingiverse, so thank you to all the creators of these for sharing them. Thingiverse is a great site to share your prints, and I'll probably end up sharing things there eventually too. But yeah, these were great. I printed these as gifts for my family. So just a couple here to show off the prints and how the printer works. I've been really happy with how everything's turned out so far. Then there's the dinosaurs here. We've really enjoyed the flexi prints. It's really cool to me how the printer can print these all in one go, and all the links just come together, and with a little bend they all snap apart and they're flexible prints. It's really quite unique. There's not really any other manufacturing process that can do stuff like this, so it's pretty cool. I really enjoy it. And we just like dinosaurs, and so printing all these out, it was fun to have, and now we play with them all the time when our nieces and nephew come over. So then these are my most recent projects that I've been doing on my printer. This one's a jack-o'-lantern. I drew this up in Blender, and it took me a few tries to get it to come out the way I liked it, but I was pretty happy with these. I did, in between these other prints and here, I did have a hiccup with my printer. The fan inside the hot end assembly that blows down to cool the part cooling fan, it came loose from the hot end cover, and so the plastic where the screws go in and holds it in place broke, so the fan was kind of vibrating around on the inside. So I ended up buying a new hot end assembly and replacing that, just so I could have the extra parts. I could have just bought a cover fan and that would have been a quick fix, but I actually wanted to have some other parts because I know things will eventually start to break. So it's always nice to have spare parts. And so I bought that and replaced it, and since then there's been a couple things on my prints that have come out a little funny, a little bit more ringing, a little bit of under extrusion in some places. So I'm still fine-tuning that and figuring that all out, but still I'm really happy with how these prints turn out. They come out pretty well. This is it with a tea light on the inside, so I really like how it glows in the dark with those tea lights. Really happy with how these prints came out. And then also these ghosts. So I drew these ghosts up in Blender. These have been really fun to have around as Halloween decorations. These also, if you make them big enough, you can fit a tea light underneath them, and they'll light up in the dark too. So those are pretty fun. And then this is one of the smaller version of the pumpkin. This is actually earlier version too, so the stem's a lot smaller, and the lid doesn't totally fit on the inside. So since then, I've adjusted it to be like this first picture, where the lid will fit down in a little bit more, and the stem's higher up, so you can use it to grab the lid as like a handle. But yeah, it was pretty fun. This was a test. We had some like dollar store paint around the house, and so we ended up painting this pumpkin just to see how the paint works. The paint was kind of runny, so we are gonna end up using spray paints on prints in the future, but it was still came out pretty nice. I liked the way it looked. Here's the jack-o'-lanterns printing, and then the ghost printing as well. Just a couple supports to hold up the arms. It was all that's really needed here. And then I guess on the inside too, there is one support up the middle, just so the dome of the ghost runs upright. But yeah, all in all, really good prints. I've enjoyed having them. It's been fun to draw my own designs and print them out, just to bring these ideas to life. Yeah, it's really been enjoyable. These prints as well, these Halloween ones, the ghosts and the jack-o'-lanterns. And then I actually have one of just the pumpkin and not a jack-o'-lantern face. They're all for sale on Etsy. I have the link to my Etsy shops here. on my Instagram page, and then I'll also put it in the description of the YouTube video so you can find them. But I've been really enjoying these prints. They've come out great, and it's been a lot of fun. So if you're interested in 3D printing or getting a 3D printer, I recommend it. It's been an awesome hobby and a lot of fun to get into. But that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.